Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the main card fights for UFC 234, Whittaker versus Gastelum. So again, just the main card fights for UFC 234 in this video, but I'll be posting the prelim predictions in another video that will follow this video. So without further ado, let's get to our first main card prediction of the night. So in our first fight on the main card, we have in the light heavyweight division, Jim Crute versus Sam Alvey. You got newcomer versus veteran. I think Jim Crute is about in his early 20s. I think about 22, 23, 24, something like that. Then you got Sam Alvey, who's somewhere close to his mid-30s, but I think just under or just at his mid-30s. Both been around the game for a while. You got Jim Crute, who's trying to make his way into the game. But looking at his style, Jim Crute, I'm not impressed at him at all. I'm not impressed by him at all. Really look at him. He has good size. He's pretty strong, or decently strong. Nothing super crazy about his strength. His striking technique is poor. His defensive striking is poor. His grappling is pretty poor. But one thing he is good at is winning. Like, he was getting destroyed or he's getting picked apart in his Contender Series fight. Then he managed to turn around and caught his opponent, dropped him, and finished him. Then in his UFC debut, he was getting taken down easily, getting outstruck. Then he was able to reverse position, just more so off of strength and technique. And then eventually he just kind of wore on his opponent. It was big and heavy on top, hurting his opponent off on the top. Then eventually in the third round, I think his opponent shot a poor shot. He reversed the guy on top and got Kimura. So it was like nothing really impressive about him. Now looking at him versus Sam Alvey has crazy power, has a pretty good, respectable chin, and he's a counter fighter with great takedown defense. With a lot of people will kind of sleep on his takedown defense because I think he trains at Team Clutch or with Dan Henderson. So I don't know. I think it's Team Clutch. I don't know what. Yeah, it's Team Clutch. I don't know if he still trains there, but he still keeps that same good takedown defense. I think most of his fights, he hasn't been taken down at all. I think the most he's ever been taken down in like the last couple years was like twice against Rashad Evans. So he barely gives up any takedowns, and he's been in there with some pretty good wrestlers. So his takedown defense is solid. So it's going to be hard for Jim Crute to get on top of him. And Sam Alvey's grappling is pretty slept on him as well. I think Sam Alvey is just overall a much better striker than Jim Crute. And he kind of has that same factor to him. Like, he's not that amazing or he's not that great, but he finds ways to win. Like, Sam Alvey might look at him. He's technically, his striking is not the greatest. His defense certainly is the greatest, but he got a good chin. And he got power. So he finds ways to win. So they're kind of mirror images of each other. Like, Sam Alvey's like an older Jim Crute, in my opinion. I think that's what the fight going to kind of play out is. Jim Crute's not going to be able to get those. Matter of fact, Sam Alvey even a younger Sam Alvey's better than Jim Crute, in my opinion. But whatever case is, I think Sam Alvey will be able to keep the fight on the feet. He's a much better striker, a much more experienced fighter. I think he has a better chin as well, more power, faster hands. I think he'll just catch Jim Crute on the chin. And like I said, Jim Crute doesn't have the best striking defense. He takes a lot of stuff on his chin, and you can't afford to take Sam Alvey's punches on his chin. And I think Sam Alvey's going to be able to strike with him, be able to crack him on the feet. I think he'll get him out of there in the second round. So in this fight, I got Sam Alvey via second round TKO. Now on to our next fight we have in the lightweight division, Devontae Smith versus Hyun Ma. At first his name was Hyun Kim, just like Stun Gun. But I guess all of a sudden he had a late name change into his life. So I think he's like, I'm tired of having the same name as this guy, so I'm going to change it to Hyun Ma. So DHM, not DHK no more. So look at this fight, Hyun Ma, he can strike. He is a warrior, and that's where I think he's going to lose at in this fight. He's on fighters, he definitely can strike pretty decently. He's no slouch on the feet, but he likes to get into these wars too much. He likes to eat punches on the feet, and he likes to trade. And Devontae Smith is just so clean and so crisp on the feet and got so much power, so fast, so sharp, that I think Hyun Ma will walk into a lot of these punches. You can't afford to be eating punches against somebody who's has so much power and so sharp with their punches. You can't really risk it. I can see he was swinging hooks and you could get into a slugfest with him. But if you're just going to come out there and try to slugfest with a guy who's like pretty much bringing a fist to a gunfight or a knife to a gunfight, it's not going to work out for you. And I think that's what's kind of play out is. And even if it doesn't play out, I just think that Devontae Smith is just more so better everywhere than Hyun Ma. But I think he's going to come out there. He's going to try to maybe make it a war or try to make it a striking match. He's going to get beat in all those fashions. Then he's going to just get sloppy, and I think Devontae Smith's going to catch him, drop him, and take him out. And I think that happens in the first round. So in this fight, I got Devontae Smith via first round TKO. Now on to our next fight we have in the bantamweight division, Ronnie Yahya versus Ricky Simone. So looking at how these fighters match up, Ronnie Yahya is like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion. So barely any people are on his level as far as Jiu-Jitsu. His strike is coming along real nice. He's been dropping people with his punches lately. He's been, matter of fact, having like almost full-on striking matches with people and been winning lately. So that's a scary thing to have. I mean, his striking is not the prettiest striking or the most technical, but it's very manageable. I mean, it's working. Like, he be slapping people and he be dropping people with slaps. Then he takes him down and submits him in like a split second because his jiu-jitsu was just that good. But he's going against Ricky Simón. I think he's one of the better strikers in the bantamweight division. He has some solid boxing. He has some fast hands, good reflexes. He mixes up multi-layer strikes, whether to the body, to the head, and he just does it very well. And he's no slouch in the grappling either, but I don't think he wants to grapple with Ronnie Yahya. But I think more so what this fight's going to come down to is Ricky Simón being more well-rounded, being able to keep the fight where he wants to keep it. He has good takedown defense. He has good conditioning, so Ronnie Yahya can't wear him down. Ronnie Yahya can't just assume he's going to get a takedown. He's got to set those shots up real well. And I don't think Ronnie Yahya has the best takedown offense to begin with. Then you got a person who has pretty good takedown defense. So I think it's going to be a play on the feet more so. I think Ricky Simón just real solid, whether it be offensively on the feet and defensively on the feet. And like I said, good takedown defense. I think Ricky Simón will be able to keep on the feet. I think Ronnie Yahya will hold a good account for himself on the feet and definitely will be a challenge on the feet. He won't just be some easy walkover. He will make it a fight. But I think Ricky Simón's cleaner technique, fast hands, heavier hands will just be the tell of the fighting. Ricky Simón will be able to just break him down. I think he stops him late into the third round after, wearing him down in the first two rounds. So in this fight, I got Ricky Simón via third round TKO. Now on to our co-main event, we have in the middleweight division, Israel Adesanya versus Anderson Silva. So first off, as much as this promo is saying this is a mirror match, it really isn't. They might have similarities, but they are two completely different fighters and two completely different people. Israel Adesanya is Israel Adesanya, and Anderson Silva is Anderson Silva. They are their own people. They aren't the same person. They are no copy of one another. They are two completely different people. But now that is out of the way, on to the predictions. So how do these two fighters match up? Adesanya is the younger fighter. He's the taller fighter. He's the fast fighter. And he has the reach as well. Anderson Silva has the MMA experience by a large margin, being that he is one of the true GOATs of MMA. Definitely in that top 3 pound for pound on any list you can say he's the top 3 pound for pound all time as far as MMA goes. And also he has the grappling advantage, being that he's a high-level black belt in BJJ. And but what I really think this fight comes down to, or this match comes down to, is their striking. Even though Anderson Silva has a grappling advantage, when has he really ever used it offensively? Even if he tried to implement his grappling offensively, would it be that effective? Since he had to switch up his style this late into his career at this late age. He's like 40 something, and to change your style for one particular fighter at this stage in your career, at that age, just highly unlikely that it will be that effective. So, but I would not put it past him to try it, and I'm sure Adesanya isn't either. So he's respecting everything that Anderson Silva could bring, and he's preparing for it, because this is a big opportunity for both fighters. So expect the best versions of each fighter, or at least the best version they can present. Anderson Silva's old right now. You can't expect him to bring out a 30-year-old Anderson Silva, but expect the best 40-year-old Anderson Silva you can expect. But now back to the striking. Anderson Silva is more of a counter striker. That's where he has had his most success in his career. He certainly is deadly as well when it comes to being the aggressor, but he's had way more success, or far more success, when he's gotten fighters to attack him when he was the counter fighter. So he can read them, find them openings and counter them, or get them frustrated, then take advantage when they overcommit to strikes. But when you put that style against Adesanya, who is a decorated kickboxer, who is more of a sniper style of striker, always composed, always in just about the perfect position, just about the perfect position to throw a strike, the perfect position to land a strike, and the perfect position to evade a strike. So he's always so technical with his striking that he seems to always be in a good spot with his strike. He's never in range for somebody to hit him with a heavy, clean shot. He's always in a position where he could touch you. He has the accuracy, shows it. His style shows that he's not a fighter that just wings punches. He knows where his punch will land. He's not just throwing punches with his eyes closed. He's always clean and technical and sharp with his punches. And that's really at a high level that really most people can't even really compare to in any form of sport. It's like he's a real high level striker, and his style matches it as well. So it doesn't bode very well for Anderson Silva dealing with that style of striker. It doesn't bode very well for Anderson's style because he relies on the counter. And Adesanya is a fine-tuned striker who, being the longer and faster fighter, will keep Silva at the end of his punches and his kicks, mostly keeping Silva out of position to effectively counter. I see Adesanya picking apart Silva from distance, not getting overzealous and rushing the finish, because that's simply not Adesanya's style. Then I see him not trying to force the finish to happen, but allowing the finish to materialize over the rounds, breaking Silva down in the first and second round, then stop Anderson Silva in the third round. So in this fight, I have Israel Adesanya via third round TKO. Now to our main event, we have a middleweight title fight between Robert Whittaker and Kelvin Gastelum. So you have a matchup of two former welterweights who have made their way all the way to the top of the middleweight division. Whittaker being the champion and Gastelum being the challenger. They both have benefited in similar ways coming up a division. They aren't the biggest middleweights, but they are still strong enough to not get muscled around by the bigger middleweights. They brought up their speed. They maintained their power. They might have even gained some power with the added weight. And also, they can be hard to hold on to. So they are almost anti-grapplers in a way, especially Robert Whittaker. But now for the prediction and how these fighters match up against one another. They are both young and at the top of their games right now. They both seem like smaller middleweights, but Whittaker actually has a 2 to 3 inch height advantage. And it was noticeable when they faced off at a press conference. Whittaker's style is more of a modified karate striking style. He's fast to the punch. He could beat most people to the punch. But also he's crafty at chaining 2 to 4 strike combos with all of his tools. Like he'll mix in punches, mixing hooks, mixing kicks, mixing knees, and all these different types of strikes into that 2 to 4 strike combos. And sometimes he might just throw one punch, but usually it's 2 to 4 strikes in his combo. I say more so 2 to 3 more than 2 to 4, but he's very good at chaining combos together, darting in, darting out, and doing that with his kind of modified karate style. And like Gastelum on the other end, he more so gets things done with just his hands. He might have kicks, he might have this, might have that, but what fighters are most worried about him is his hand. That's where the true danger lies with him. He might not be as fast to the punch as Whittaker, but if he starts connecting, if he gets in range, he just lets it rip like a Beyblade, and will chain together a volley of heavy punches. Or like fast, quick, heavy punches. Well, I'll say moderately heavy, but he just has heavy hands, but whatever cases. I think speed will be an interesting aspect in this fight, or interesting, matter in this fight, because both have been using their speed, their welterweight speed, to their advantage. But now this is a fight where that advantage will be somewhat nullified, or be somewhat negated by the fact that both of them have welterweight speed, or still carry that welterweight speed. But now to come to the actual conclusion of this prediction, where I see the important factors, or the important factor for this fight is where I see a bad tendency of Gastelum's. That Whittaker is almost the perfect person to exploit that tendency that Gastelum has. And that tendency that Gastelum has is he has a tendency, if you attack him on multiple levels, he basically won't defend anything. And he'll lean on his Hall of Fame chin as a crutch. Because he knows he's hard to knock out. He can take a punch, take a kick to the chin, and he'll be all right. He'll lean on that. If make him look at multiple things, he won't defend anything. He'll just lean on that chin. And you saw this in several of his fights. You saw it against Woodley. You saw it against the old TRT list Vitor Belfort. You saw it against the gassed out Jacare Souza. Probably in all of his fights, really. And that's not a good style, or a good habit, or a good tendency to have when you are fighting Robert Whittaker. That's what Whittaker really does. He'll mix it high and low with his attacks and get you worried about a low, he'll get you worried about a low attack, then he'll hit you high. He'll get you worried about a high attack, then hit you low. He'll present you multi-level threats all the time. That's really what he does. And for you that to be one of your flaws, that doesn't really bode well for you in this matchup. Like I said, Whittaker, he'll dart in and out, or he'll pick you apart at range. And I see him doing that against Gastelum. I also see Gastelum I see Whittaker is the better conditioned fighter. Definitely Whittaker's the more conditioned fighter, the more professional fighter, never miss weight, always in shape, not overeating, throwing up, running 3 miles and stuff, or 5 miles, or whatever the case Whittaker was doing. But back to the actual prediction. Whittaker is actually the more conditioned fighter in my opinion. I think everyone else will say that. I think even Gastelum will say that Whittaker is the more conditioned fighter. That's why he's trying to knock him out in the first round. But yeah, so I see Whittaker being even more effective in the later rounds, also not just from his conditioning, but from the fact that he's the champion, and he's already been 5 rounds twice with Romero. He's been in those 5-round fights, and he's been in some hard 5-round fights, and he's been able to power through and get the win in very tough situations. So he has that in his, he just has that on his record. He has that on his resume, and he's going to be showing that off, in this fight. I don't think Whittaker will get a finish necessarily in this fight. I don't see him getting a finish because of how tough Gastelum is, but I see him winning a clear decision, taking the fight into the later rounds, then dominating the championship rounds to win a clear-cut decision. So in this fight, I have Robert Whittaker via decision. So that concludes my fight predictions for UFC 234, Whittaker versus Gastelum. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.